This is the Redox 5. We are coming to you, Jim and Ann Glenn from San Antonio, Texas. Please, if you don't mind, go ahead and click into the chat section where you're calling in from. We'll do that real quick. But as you can tell, we have got a full lineup tonight. And Dr. Ray is going to help kind of do some of the hosting here. But Singapore, Happy Valley, Fredericksburg, hey, Cher, Mr. Jim in Kerrville, Sydney, where's that? Alberta, San Antonio. So we got folks coming from all over the world. That's why we kind of love doing this, guys. I started
Villages, Ohio.
We started doing this a little over 7 years ago, and I really did it for me to hear the testimonials. I wanted to stay in the testimonial, always hearing this, and that's kind of why we started this a little over 7 years ago. So we've been having a blast with this. And again, we've got so many people coming in from all over the world. Thank you so much. Continue to share what we do. It's either going to be Ann and I and Dr. Lee and Dr. Maureen. They've taken the evening off for obvious reasons because we have a full crew here tonight. But Alan Noble will be the first and the third Thursday of the month. The second and the fourth Thursday of the month is with us, the Redox 5. Then the fifth Thursday of the month, when we have a few of those, will be Danny Doyle. He'll be sharing his expertise there. So with that, I am going to turn the mic over to Dr. Ray Dixon. Dr. Ray, thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks again for having me, Jim and Ann. And it's a great pleasure of mine to actually meet finally some of the esteemed guests alongside me here today. I know a few, Kathy and Dr. Ed, we've been together before, but Judy, Dr. Mark, and certainly Dr. Marty, even though I followed him from the very beginning in 2018 when I first commenced. So it's a great pleasure to be here. Just briefly, my background, I'm a chiropractor naturopath. Started practice way back in 1974. Became one because my asthma was cured by a naturopath. That opened my eyes to the whole world of natural healing, natural medicine, and I'm still in that game to this very day. And in fact, that leads to exactly why I kind of came out of semi-retirement now that I live in Phuket, Thailand, but from Melbourne, Australia, for that very reason. I actually didn't need a health product for my health. I was doing fine at 62. I'm now 70. But it was more part of a lifetime journey of looking for anything that works with Mother Nature and helps the body to actually heal itself. And being from the natural therapy perspective background, I sort of looked for a holy grail my whole life, never found it until redox signaling molecules, which no doubt will be extrapolated between us on this very call. So back in 2018, July, Lorene Bavard, 5 times heavyweight karate champion of the world, came to stay with me here in Phuket, Thailand. Of course, I'd known her for many, many, many years. She'd mentioned the power of redox signaling molecules, and would I like to know? Ironically, I think even though I looked for that holy grail for many years, I'd given up looking. So I kind of had a little bit of a rigid, biased mind about things. I'd been in the game for a long time. So I was very reluctant and a bit hesitant. But as I started to do the deep dive into the science, it became pretty evident it was something new. It was a new discovery. So how would I know? And how would anyone know prior to 1998 when the term redox signaling molecule had not existed? So that's what brought my eyes more open. As I said, I came in from a healthy perspective. I was on no drug medications whatsoever, and I was doing just fine at 62. But something to note for all listeners is not only how we all looking to get healthy, but we're also and should be always looking to stay healthy. So once I knew the power of such a universal product as redox signaling molecules, it was self-evident that, I want to get on this. So as that came to be, I have never stopped using the product ever since. I never will. Because that will help me to maintain my optimum health and well-being till the day I leave the planet. So that's the quick backstory. And perhaps, Jim, would you like me to explain a little bit about redox signaling molecules for the listeners?
Yeah, if you don't mind. Yeah.
Okay, well, this discovery it starts in 1998 with a Nobel Prize was given for this. Nitric oxide was discovered, which I'm sure a lot of you are hearing more about these days, singularly nitric oxide. But that is one redox signaling molecule first discovered in 1998. The quick backstory to this is really where they're made. They're made in the mitochondria of the cell, which is the powerhouse of the cell. There's up to 100 trillion cells in the human body. 20 billion die every day and are replaced. Just a marvel unto themselves, individually are cells. And the mitochondria is probably singled out next to the nucleus and the DNA as the most important organelle of the cell. This is where our powerhouse, our energy is made, ATP, but it's equally where these redox signaling molecules are made. And the interesting irony is most are made from salt water. So sodium chloride, hydrogen, oxygen in varying combinations. It's important to note when those new combinations are formed, it's not salt water anymore. And there's a myriad of these redox signaling molecules coming from two categories, reductants, oxidants. Turns out that they were not just junk spinning out of the Krebs cycle in the making of energy to power the cells. Turns out that they profoundly affect genetic signaling, the entire DNA. So between the redox signaling molecules and your DNA, your genes, everything is run by those two categories, everything in your body. So you can't name anything, you can't name any function, you can't name a hormone, a neurotransmitter, you can't name regulation of blood pressure, blood sugar, anything you like. All are regulated by redox signaling molecules and all the DNA together as part of the conductors of the orchestra of human physiology. So they're like little sparks of life. They're very fleeting. They're made in split seconds. They neutralize in split seconds, but they've done their signaling in the meantime to help keep cells healthy, well, and healing. Cells are dynamic. They're being challenged constantly. There are constant stressors to the cell. It's not a fixed state of homeostasis. It's fluctuating and needs to be maintained at that balance point. It is redox signaling that's driving that. So they are indeed the very sparks of life. I've said on other calls, this is not yet scientifically validated, but personally I think these are the interconnection between the finest molecules of the human body, nanosize, which means very, very small, and what some would refer to in other philosophies as the connecting point, perhaps, to life force, vital force, innate intelligence, Mark would understand, prana, chi, ki. I think these are the very intersection point at the pointy end of the pyramid between life force at that level and chemistry, physiology at our biology level. So that's a quick introduction. I think it's time for some other to share their story too.
Yeah, I'd like to go to Dr. Mark. You've got a fascinating story, Doctor. I did mute you if you don't mind unmuting. Can you kind of go ahead and give us your background, where you are, what you do, and your why redox for Dr. Mark DeBrinket?
Thank you, Jim and Ann. Pleasure being here again. And I'm glad I got to go right after Dr. Ray, because also being a chiropractor, I'm just going to jump right on everything that he just said, because that was my big aha moment for me. Being a chiropractor, we were always taught healing comes from above down, inside out. And that's innate intelligence that we release when we remove interference in the spine and allow people's natural healing ability to return. And so I've always spoke the language, but I never had the redox signaling as how we actually send the message. And so it was about 11 years ago, and a patient of mine, Sherry Clark, was on my table, and we were talking about different therapies I have in the office and things that she's been doing throughout her life. And it was like, yes, I do that. No, yes, I do that too. And I do this. And then she says, well, do you do redox signaling molecules? And I'm like, how come I don't know about that? And so fortunately, I was very open-minded to really seek any solutions that are going to help my patients get better faster and keep them well. Now, I also had to become my own best patient. I specialize in brain health and spinal traumas, and I was in a head-on collision back in '97 and had to then become my own best patient. I was permanently disabled for a lot of years, It took me 17 years to get my abilities back. And it was the year I found ASEA. It catapulted with a few other breakthroughs I had in that same year. And I was just taking 4 ounces a day in the beginning. But within about 6 weeks or so of being on it, I found myself being able to do a whole lot more, push my body further. I could sense that I was having more potential. I guess that's the best word that we can say. And, throughout these 17 years of trying to break the code of getting out of pain, getting my abilities back, I would have some breakthroughs and then some setbacks and a lot of therapies and then waiting for the body to catch up. And that's probably one of the biggest things that I found. Once I found Redox, it's like we don't have to wait nearly as long. It's like the potential comes back so fast. And whatever therapies we're doing, whatever treatments we're doing, it's like they're responding. And it got to the point that I don't even want to take on a patient if they're not willing to help themselves with Redox, because there's a lot of ways we can get you better. But outside of the course that we're taking, it can either be fast or slow. Do you want to take it the slow route, or do you want to get better really quick? And so in the world of neurofeedback, we have the protocol globally is pretty much 2 or 3 times a week for maybe 30 minutes. And they don't want to push the brain any more than that because you'll get a headache and it could last all day. And so people are very cautious about, pushing the envelope. Well, I did it that way for years and never had any change in my brain. So I gave up, threw the stuff in the closet, and I was done with neurofeedback. And then somebody told me, well, if you can just push it and do more, you might find that breakthrough. So sure enough, I found ways to do that, put my body into ketosis. I could go for an hour at a time. That was a big deal. Within 90 days of doing it at that speed, I could actually do my daily activities of living. It didn't have to have help. And that was such a huge thing when you're disabled and you have to rely on other people to help you with things. But the biggest change that I see is our patients can now do 4 hours of training every single day for 30 days in a row. We're talking 2 years of typical treatments in a month. And I just kept looking around like, how come every doctor doesn't do this? I have no idea. I just don't understand that. It's the simplest thing that we can literally add to people's life and have the most impact. When people call from out of state and out of the country and patients are asking about things, well, the very first step is my alpha product, and that's getting you on these redox molecules. And let's start raising that potential. So then anything else I recommend and anything else we do, it's going to be received better and you're going to get more results at a faster pace. So these molecules are amazing. I couldn't imagine my life without them. And I'm so happy that my parents and friends kept saying, hey, hang in there. Don't give up. You're going to find something. It either hasn't been invented yet or you just haven't found it. And in my case, it just wasn't invented yet. And so I am so happy I found it. And you think about how many patients go see their doctors and never said anything about redox to them because they're afraid or intimidated. It doesn't matter. We're just people, okay? And if you have something good, I want to hear it. In fact, we don't just hear it from anywhere. We have to go to continuing ed. We have to do all sorts of things to try to, hey, what's the latest and greatest? And a lot of really good secrets that I found have come from my patients. So I encourage you, don't be afraid to share this. This is the best thing that anybody could add to their practice or to their life for that matter. So
thank you, Mark. That's awesome. In my screen, I got Dr. Kathy or Kathy Painter. I kind of look at you as a doctor. I'm not sure if that's in your pedigree or not, but give us a little bit of info about you. And you have a unique story as well as to how you came across these molecules.
I do. Well, I'm Kathy Painter, and I'm out here in beautiful sunny Los Angeles. And 4 years ago, I was visiting my parents for their 60th wedding anniversary in Pinehurst, North Carolina, and I tripped over a box in my dad's home office. And I opened it up and I saw this big blue bottle. Now, something registered. I knew I'd heard something about this. And I said, Dad, where did you get this? He goes, well, I got it from a friend, Polk, and I haven't even started drinking it yet. Well, I have this strange, addiction to knowledge. I have to know right away. So I went and got on my laptop and started researching this. And I went to my dad, I said, Dad, I need to talk to your friend Polk right away. And so I started learning about it. And then 3 weeks later in Pinehurst, there was an event where a lot of medical personnel were there. And I literally got on a plane again 3 weeks later to go hear what all these medical professionals had to say about this. And also at that same time, my husband had a reoccurrence of an abnormal cell issue. And this time it had come back and it was spread and it was showing up in his bones. And I looked at this, and after looking at the, research, another thing dawned on me. 10 years earlier, I had been with a loved one to a world famous abnormal cell medical clinic. And the first thing the doctor said to us is, before we determine a course of treatment, we have to determine if the body even recognizes that there are these abnormal cells in the body. Now, I had never heard of such a concept. He goes, oh, yeah. He says, when somebody has these abnormal cells and they spread really fast, he says it's because the immune system doesn't even recognize there's a problem and therefore it does nothing to stop it. And of course, all of this is going through my head. And I knew in an instant that I had been divinely guided to this. Now, I want to tell everybody, me and my husband would have missed out if I had been close-minded. And, now when I work with people, I stay flat out. I can only help you if you are open-minded and if you're willing to invest in your health, because I can't help closed-minded people. If you're hearing about this for the first time, I want to encourage you to keep an open mind, because we are all here because we were open-minded and we have reaped the benefits. Now, the other thing that's happened through this journey is, well, let me finish telling you about my husband. So he was doing, the treatments that you do, but it wasn't making those abnormal cells go away. And I'd started him drinking the molecules. Now he was drinking more than the average person because he had a very serious issue. And 2.5 months later, the doctor orders a scan. And we go in for the results, and the doctor is just staring at the folder. I thought, oh my gosh, something's wrong. And then he just looks at it. He goes, well, this is a miracle. There's no abnormal cells showing up in the bones. And he was truly dumbfounded. He could not figure out how that had happened in a 2.5 month period. And normally I would have shared what we were doing, but he had already made it very clear he didn't want to know about anything that was not a pharmaceutical drug. So I didn't waste my time or my breath. But of course, we kept my husband drinking the molecules. And a year later, the doctor ordered another scan. And this time we go in and he's smiling ear to ear. And he says, you are a miracle patient. There's no abnormal cells showing up anywhere in the body. I mean, how many times do you hear that word? You are a miracle patient. Everybody longs to hear it. But I can tell you that these doctors don't get to say it very often. Okay. So,
hey, Kathy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to ask you, how much was he drinking? I know people are going to ask.
Yeah. He was drinking a half a bottle a day, 8 ounces in the morning, 8 ounces, in the afternoon or night. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so, the journey continues. Being a traditional naturopath, I became a traditional naturopath to help people. And now I have the greatest tool, and it is a tool. It's a foundational piece. And like, Dr. Mark was saying, and others will tell you, it's a foundational piece that will make everything else you do work better and usually faster. And so if you're sitting there tonight and you're interested in slowing down the aging process, or you're interested in prevention, or you're interested in recovering from anything, you have to take a good look at these redox molecules.
Wow. That's powerful, Kathy. Thank you.
I wanted to ask real quick, Kathy,
Yeah.
did your husband use any of the Renew 28?
Oh, yes. He I have to say he was not as consistent with Renew 28, but I did try to get him to do it as much as possible.
Awesome. Very good.
Dr. Marty. He is our, what should we say? He's been on the stuff the longest. He's
also the oldest.
I didn't say that, you did. But Marty, I've known you now ever since I started with the C. I think you're one of the first guys that we met. And you have been nothing but enjoyable to be around and so full of knowledge. Could you kind of drill down maybe a little bit? I love the way you also explain the molecules. Maybe we can get the others to do that as well. But your story is unique. And again, you are a research veterinarian. If you don't mind kind of going through your background a little bit, because and we need to be, if you don't mind doing the disclaimer here as well, Marty, you're good with that. Because again, you're talking maybe a few cats and dogs and horses. And this is for human consumption. Can you kind of cover that real quick?
Oh, sure. Well, thanks, Jim. It's always a pleasure to be on Redox 5, but and especially with this group of people. So thanks for including me. But,
hey, real quick on that, I want to throw out a thank you to Dr. Ray Dixon for making this suggestion. We had the ASEA Medical Professional Board a couple of weeks ago, and actually it was Dr. Marty that said, hey, let's get all the other ones. Right. The thing of it is we have so many of them. So we are going to be doing a part 2 the 4th Thursday of next month. So we will have another panel discussion just like this one the 4th Thursday of next month. So with that, Marty, go ahead. Thank you.
All right. Well, let's start with the disclaimer. I mean, this is a human supplement. And so we're not here to make any medical claims that ASEA is going to help to diagnose, treat, cure, or even prevent chronic health challenges. The main reason we're not going to claim that is that's not what the product does. You've already heard several explanations for this product. They are redox signaling molecules. If this is the first time you've heard about it, join the club. All of us had to hear about it at some point, and most of us were incredibly skeptical, except for Kathy, who tripped over the box, right? That's wonderful. And Kathy, never go into my office because you would probably not come back out. So again, redox signaling molecules. And you've heard descriptions like chi, and these are powerful molecules that help your body function correctly. And they've always been there. Always been there in humans, always been there in all animal species, even plants. Every living cell on this planet has redox signaling molecules, or it would be dead. So the fact that we can make them is wonderful. Marty is 78 years old. I think I'm the oldest person on the panel. And yet, having been on this technology nearly 13 years, my body is functioning younger today, younger. My cells are functioning younger today than they did those 13 years ago. Hello? Are you listening? Would anybody like a chance to reverse the clock? I'm not going to talk about Fountain of Youth. I mean, that's Ponce de Leon stuff. But this technology helps your cells remember, if you want to think of it that way, remember what they're supposed to do. And the reason it does it is because it helps the cells come into balance. Redox signaling molecules, you've already heard some explanations about it, but they come in, if you will, 2 flavors, sort of the oxidant flavor. And what have we heard about for years and years and years? We need antioxidants. We're too inflamed. We've got to have too many. Folks, you would not be alive if you did not have oxidant molecules in your body. That's how you fight infections. All kinds of good things come from oxidant molecules, but not when they're out of balance. So what I have in my house, my wife and I, 13 plus, almost 13 years now, have been drinking this product, using the topical gel forms of this product, and helping to bring our cells, each individual cell, what was it? 100 trillion. That's with a T, folks. 100 trillion cells, bringing them back into balance. Does that help, Jim? Yeah. And so for as far as my story, you know, Kathy, thank you very much for that story about your husband. And we have testimonial sites like read it 3 words together, real Redox results, put them all together.com. That site has a password. I don't know. I'll let Jim give it later if it's allowed. But we have these amazing testimonials. As good as that is, I think it scares people. I'm not putting your story down. I'm amazed that your husband got that benefit. But most of us will experience better sleep first. We'll probably notice that our energy levels are higher. And then, so clearer thinking, all kinds of subtle benefits happen for most of us quite quickly if we're paying attention. And that's what happened for my wife, Kathy, and I. Jim likes to talk about my PSA levels dropping, but quite frankly, I don't trust that test anyway. So that didn't impress me much. I had a swelling in my right eye. I can see fine in my right eye. Don't worry about Marty. But it was there. And the person, the optometrist who was watching it for me said, that's better. Well, that's good. But what did I notice? I noticed a athletic benefit. That was my aha moment. I had to do a lot of yard work. I got a teenage neighbor to come over and help me. It was a very hot day. And I was moving a lot of mulch around in the yard. I have a pretty big yard. And my wife, Kathy, came out and said, "Would you stop?" She was thinking I was going to hurt myself continuing to keep up with this teenage kid moving mulch around the yard. Somehow, I can't explain it. Somehow I knew I could do that work. Now, when you do a lot of work, sometimes you wake up the next day and your muscles are all sore and you're a little gimped up. I wasn't. Now, what I really had when this whole came to our house and we learned about redox molecules, I had discomfort every day. I would get up and start with painkiller 1, over-the-counter stuff. Painkiller 1. A couple hours later, I was on to painkiller 2. A couple hours later, I was on to painkiller 3. A couple hours later, I was back to number 1. That was my day. And so to wake up after doing all this yard work and not having any discomfort at all, I was just blown away. I had to get on the phone with people who knew much more about this than I did and say, you have to explain this to me because while, if there is a product out there that could help you, and you're hearing about this one today, and you hear about another one tomorrow, I'd say try it. Well, why not try it, right? And so I was perfectly happy to try this. My dilemma with all this redox signaling stuff didn't even begin until it worked. Once it worked, I had a major dilemma. I was stuck, right? I had no idea how to put this into any frame of reference. In fact, I didn't know how to do it, but I picked up the phone and called my brother, and because he had just had, he was a little. You think I'm weird? You should have seen my brother. He did 2 knees at the same time, replaced 2 knees at the same time. I thought he was nuts, but he was hurting at that point in time. And so I called him up and said, "Paul, I can't explain any of this, but you need to look at this redox signaling molecules. I'm going to send you a video. Look at it, see what you think. I think it can help you with your discomfort." And so I had an athletic benefit very shortly after he got his product. He had an athletic benefit, and we were, I can't say it that way, can I? Off to the races?
Oh,
Why not? You just did.
I just did.
Yeah.
it's an animal.
Cool. Marty,
Oh,
thank
animals. Well, we'll talk about animals in a bit.
you. Yeah. So, well, speaking of animals, Judy, I'm not referring to you as an animal, but yet you got tossed from one.
That's
Judy is part of our group. We, through a number of people, Judy is a physical therapist up in Midland, Texas. Sorry, forgive me. She's been on the product the shortest period of time with the group that we have. And with that intro, Miss Judy, can you kind of go ahead and share your amazing story? What happened to you?
Yes, thank you, Jim. Yes, Midland, not Lubbock. 5 years ago, I was doing everything I wanted. I didn't take any medication. I didn't have any discomfort. Life was good. I was working at a job that I loved for the past, I had been there over 20 years and just loved what I was doing. And I met a group of girlfriends in Dallas from all over the country. And we had one girl from New Jersey who wanted to do all things Texan. And the two things she really wanted to do were shoot guns and ride horses and go to that place in Waco where everybody goes to shop. And I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, we did everything over the course of 2-3 days. And then on Sunday, we had gone to shoot guns with my brother and we'd done all the stuff. And on Sunday, we hadn't done the horses, so she made an appointment for us to go do a trail ride. And so we did. I'm from Texas, third generation. I rode horses my whole life, no big deal. But I learned a lot that day. We were out riding and we got to a place where if you've ever done a trail ride, the horses are kind of bored and you just go and go and go till you're done. Well, we got to a point where he realized we were headed back to the stable, and he threw his head back and took off running at a full gallop down a ravine, jumped a gully, up a ravine, through a meadow, and did a hard right. Wouldn't have scared me, except at the top when he threw his head back, I pulled on the reins and they came loose from the bit and bridle, and I had no steering wheel and I had no brakes, and I was holding on for dear life, and I was good. Till he turned right and I turned left. And that was the beginning of a really not good story. My friends got me back and I had 2 lower spine fractures. I dislocated all the joints in my pelvis and my tailbone. I dislocated 3 ribs, had a significant whiplash. I had impingements or nerve damage in all joints, and I was running with pain at a 9 out of 10. Well, as a physical therapist, I know what to do with pain, but I also knew I needed help. So I started reaching out, and I got fired from 2 chiropractors, 2 massage therapists, 2 orthopedic surgeons, a neurologist and a neurosurgeon, because I didn't want exploratory back surgery. Been there, seen that, never seen it work. I wasn't doing that. And so everybody offered all kinds of stuff, and I was trying it for 3.5 years. I didn't lie in a bed for 5 months. I was on a walker for 3 months. At 3.5 years, I couldn't walk from my front door to the mailbox without leaning on the mailbox and hobbling back in the house and resting for 30 minutes. I had to give up the job that I loved because I just couldn't. And anyway, I went to make myself feel better because I was in a pit. I went to get my hair highlighted. And you boys don't know what it's like, but you sit there for and one of the things that was a problem that you need to know about is if I sat more than 20 minutes, when I stood up It was a searing, burning pain from my buttocks to my calf, and my knee was so unstable. I hoped I didn't fall. And so that was a big deal. So I sat for 2 or 3 hours while they foiled my hair. I hobbled very slowly to the dryer, sat for 45 minutes, hobbled to the shampoo bowl. She washed my hair, and I hobbled back to the original place. And before I got there, my hairdresser goes, "Judy, you're a mess. You need help. Here, call this lady." And I'm thinking, I'm not calling anybody. I'm sick of everybody telling me what to do and none of it working. I'm not going to deal with this. And then I saw that it was a MLM, and I'm sure not going to sell it. And God, right here in my right ear, goes, "Yes, you are. Yes, you will. Call." On the outside, on the inside, not on the outside. Aaron didn't know that I'd done that. So I got home and I called Ann. And she starts trying to tell me. I said, no. Just tell me how to order this stuff. I have to do it. I didn't know anything about it. Didn't care. I was just following directions. And a mutual friend brought me a bottle that day, or the next day. So I took 2 ounces on Sunday night, 2 ounces Monday morning, Monday night, Tuesday morning, and then I had a 2.5-hour Zoom call. And I was on camera, and I was taking notes, and I couldn't go running around, and I couldn't stand up and all that kind of stuff. Well, at the end of the 2.5 hours, I really needed to go to the bathroom. And we shut down everything, and I took off walking to the bathroom, and I got almost there before I realized that I hadn't stopped. I hadn't waited for the pain to go away, and I hadn't almost fallen down. I'd acted like a normal person for the first time in 3.5 years. So when I got to the bathroom, I sat and cried for a while because I was so surprised. And that was the beginning of my journey. Now I use it with anybody that comes with discomfort, and I forgot to tell you, I'm a non-traditional physical therapist. I've been a physical therapist for 48.5 years. I do energy work. I do traditional PT when I need to, acupuncture. I did wound care in the hospitals for 20 years, and I did a lot of geriatrics. And now I get to see people come from all that kinds of different places. So I have to figure out how open they are. If they come from some of the non-traditional people, then they're open-minded and we can go right there. If they come from a traditional place, then we have to do some teaching and training, but they do well.
Cool. Thank you,
Thank
Judy.
you so much.
All right, Doc. That probably gave you some not good memories hearing what happened to her, and then you know what happened to me. So, Dr. Ed, can you come on and share your story pretty quickly, and then what?
Will do.
Who are you? Where are you? What's the because you're boarded in multiple specialties now, retired, but you still do some vacation filling in, correct?
Yes, I do. Yes, it's good to be back at CF5. Especially honored sitting down and being here with this great healthcare professionals. And yes, I am from Bowling Green, Kentucky, originally from the Philippines. I am a trained pediatrician before I went into anesthesia. I did 2 residencies, and I have a subspecialty in interventional pain management. My story with CS started way back when I had a condition that required a procedure to be done. It was within my specialty. I resisted it because most of my patients had this kind of procedure, and they are all in my clinic, and which is not a good thing, being a chronic pain management. So I talked to 6 neurosurgeons and spine surgeons before I had it done on myself, and everybody told me I have to have it done as soon as possible, if not within a week or 2 when I had the diagnosis. So I did. It's just because there's no blood supply in the tips of the spinal cord. That's why I had to do it as soon as possible. So I did my research and I went to one of the best centers. I had an insider that would tell me that this is the surgeon that you need to have. He has a 90% success rate. And so I was confident going into that procedure. So I went there, and unfortunately, after the procedure, I belonged to the 10% failure. So instead of getting better, I gotten worse. So in short, I became a patient of my own specialty. I was given medications that I myself was writing for the last 30 years of my practice. And then I was on 3 controlled substance, but it did not help me. Every night, this discomfort would wake me up every hour. I have to change positions every hour and every hour, toes from one left side, right side. And this has been going on for more than a year, 14 months exactly. And then once my physical health was gone, then a year after, my mental health also started suffering. I became depressed and I went to my annual follow-up, and then that always offered redo of this procedure, and instrumentations was there. I accepted that because I could not think anymore. And if you give me a knife, I would do it myself and just open up my back. And so I submitted, and it was at this time that I was introduced to redox signaling molecules. It took 2.5 months before I could find a place and a time that we can do this procedure. But at this time, I was taking it, I was drinking it, and I was applying it. It was introduced to me by my brother-in-law, who's not in the medical field, who is an accountant. But I was not asking questions because I was sure that this will not work. Out of respect, I just drank it because he's my brother-in-law, and then do the things that I needed to be doing. So, but to my amazement, though, in just drinking this for 5 days, I had the best effect that I had. I had the best sleep I ever had since the surgery 14 months ago. And I had the best sleep, 4 hours straight, undisturbed sleep. That was great. And then my brain fog was the first one that was cleared. My depression was the second one that cleared. Then eventually the pain, the discomforts that I have became lower and lower. My sleep consistently was good. And then in short, I was a life that was changed. And so from being skeptical now to saying the good Lord has answered my prayer. And I've been praying for this for relief. And then and I was just happy. I was a changed life. And then after that, I was still skeptical. And of course, I shared it with my mom. My mom was 90-year-old. And then 4 years before that, she had a brain condition that really took away her speech. So I just want her to have a good sleep. I want her to have a good energy. And those are the only things that I want her to have. And to my amazement, though, after 2 weeks of using it, her speech gradually came back. And I could not explain it in my own traditional knowledge of medicine. I could not explain it why a 4-year-old brain insult could still recover. I did my research. I look at PubMed. There are thousands of articles already in there. And then my research led me to the medical atomic physicist, who I had hours of conversation about the studies that he reviewed before he stabilized these molecules. From then, I became passionate about sharing these things. It touched my family, from my mom, from myself, to my wife, my grandkids, and I was just a customer sharing these things. And then to the point that I had a neighbor that came to me for a referral for an orthopedic surgeon. And then so we share an office with an orthopedic group, and I gave him the best one that could fix the shoulder, and that was it. But at the same time, some whispers in me that you need to share this. So I did share this. I shared the gel and the drink. And a week after, he called me, "What is this stuff?" He has good relief of his shoulder. he has years of that, was on physical therapy, chiropractic manipulations, but did not, so was on for this part of doing a procedure. But that was 2017. Until now, he still didn't have the surgery and using this. So that was my story. And then I share it because I have to. In that way, people can know the beneficial effects of this.
Wow.
Very good.
That's phenomenal. Ed, thank you so much. Guys, we've got 15 minutes left, and I would just kind of like to go round robin. And if there's one thing you would want to share with those that are listening, that maybe are listening for the first time, or maybe they've been using this for whatever period of time, and it's like, I just don't feel it. It's not working on me. If there were anything that each one of you would like to say, Dr. Ray, what would you want to tell people in a couple of minutes? And we'll go round robin for everyone.
Sure. Well, the number one thing, it's a natural product. It's native to the human body. It has no toxicity. It has no allergenicity. And the reason you need it is because you're deficient. So, and the next thing that I would say, and then I'll pass to the next person, is it's not the cure-all for everything, any age, any time, any place, because that's impossible. We are biological beings. We're not meant to be living forever. And the other point finally is dose matters. So how much you take matters, meaning you've heard a few stories here on 2 cups, 4 cups, 8 cups. The reason for that is the amount can vary as to your optimum requirements. The 2 questions I always ask people is, how old are you? How sick are you? Because both of those factor in to how much you need to take to see your optimum results. The product cannot not work. It's physics. It cannot not work. It's pure science. But it's a matter of getting enough for you to feel or see it quickly enough for you to think it's working, because you will judge it on a sense of improvement or relief or whatever that case may be. So, people will start on 2 cups a day. I take 6 a day, remembering I'm not sick in that sense of the word. I don't have any diseases, but I'm taking 6 because I'm optimizing my results and I'm 70. So I've got the age factor there. We decline 10% per decade in making these molecules. So I'll hand it now to the next one, Jim.
Yeah, Mark, a lot of people that we talk to, and anybody can deal with Mark, but I don't have any issues. I'm okay. I'm healthy. And like Leland Duck said recently, well, you're healthy until you're not. You don't know when that not is coming. Mark, how would you answer that? That, hey, I'm healthy, I'm young, I'm an athlete, I'm this, I'm that. I don't need that stuff. What would you say to me? Go ahead.
That's a great question. First of all, I would say, when you have a bad habit and you're eating something is not healthy, you don't always feel that right away. Well, it's the same thing with good habits. If you start exercising, it doesn't always feel good right away, but if you continue with it, you're going to get the benefit out of it. And so I've always looked at ASEA like my life insurance. Think of it like this is your life insurance. You're going to invest a little bit each day right now so that your quality of life at the last seasons of your life is going to be a good quality. You're either going to invest in your life now, or you're going to wait and hold on to all that money and thinking that you need it because you're not going to be able to survive without it. And then at the end of your life, you're going to have a health crisis. And guess what? All that money is gone. And if you had just spread it out and invested in your health along the way, you would have not gotten to this crisis in the first place, most likely. But second of all, are you somebody that cares about your health? Because if you don't care about your health, don't waste my time asking me things that you're never going to follow up with or follow through with. You might not have symptoms, but a lot of my patients come in and they're elite athletes and they want to have peak performance. They want to know, how do I get better outcomes of everything that I'm trying because I've plateaued. And this is an answer for them. Again, it's not it's like Dr. Ray said, it's not the magic bullet that's going to fix everybody's everything. But you know what? The human body is remarkable and it's healing things behind the scenes that you have no idea the threats that it's had and what it's had to overcome. Many people are very in tune with their bodies, and that's awesome. I think the more redox that you have, the more in tune you will get with your body because it's all about signaling. It's the language of our cells. And if they're not talking, nothing's happening. Everything is about communication. And so I love the fact that we have such a simple product. You don't have to know how it works and it'll still work. I don't know how my cell phone works, but I hear it's a bunch of ones and zeros that go into space and come back down and organize themselves. And I'm okay with that. I just accept the fact that I love my phone. Well, I love my Redox. I love spraying it in my eyes. I love putting it all over my body. I love drinking it every single day. And it feels like it's giving me the potential that I need to be able to fight the day. And if there's, God forbid, a day that I don't do it for whatever reason, I pay the price right away. Not everybody feels that, but it does a lot more for me in the immediate than it does for most people because I have physical issues that if I don't attend to them, they will get worse. And so it takes daily effort like anything. But if you're willing to help me help you bring out the best inner person of you, this is going to be the first step that we do to get there.
Yeah. Mark, thank you.
And you've seen some pretty remarkable changes with gold because we interviewed you and people can find that interview. It's quite amazing what the gold has done, correct, for people you work with.
Oh, absolutely. We talk about inflammation and it goes down that inflammation pathway and specifically deals with certain genes activating and helping your body deal with the stress that's always there. Like Dr. Ray says, not you find homeostasis and like, yay, I made it there 12 years ago and I'm still there. No, it's a minute by minute, day by day thing to stay in this place that we call homeostasis. And so, it really is remarkable the changes that we can make. And with that Redox Gold in the brainstem, we would do brain maps 15 minutes after I put just a little dab on the top of the neck in the back and see, oh gosh, I think it was 52% change on average in just the way that the brain's communicating with itself. When we can take that inflammation down, it's like, oh, finally, that's what you were trying to tell me? Okay, let's get that done. Oh, and it's like we take the static out of all the radio channels that your brain's trying to talk to your body. And it gets in there and now I can hear.
Wow.
Right.
And that recording, I believe, is on realredoxresults.com. And we'll go ahead and throw out the password. It's lowercase Redox because I'm not sure. Do you know what the number is, Dr. Mark?
I don't remember.
Yeah. Hey, Kathy.
I posted it today on my business page. So.
I'm a skeptic. Kathy, this all sounds woo-woo. This kind of sounds kind of crazy. What are you going to tell me?
Well, it may sound crazy because you don't know about it yet, but we can check PubMed.gov and see hundreds of thousands of research that's been done on it. You can go to Google Scholar, and I think it's 3.5 million research entries. We can go back to the 1990s when the scientists discovered that our cells were making redox molecules. And then a couple of years later, the scientists that figured out what they do in the body won the Nobel Prize. But I know, you're like, well, why haven't I heard of it? Well, when there is a breakthrough, it takes time. And the perfect example, when penicillin was discovered, it took 20 years before it became available in a hospital setting, not even a doctor's office. So it takes a long time for something like this, a breakthrough. First of all, you have to educate people, they have to accept it, and they have to implement it. So, if you look, you will see there's a lot of science behind this. And, the other thing that's interesting, a lot of people will say, well, I'm going to ask my doctor about this. And I say, okay.
I just wrote that down. How did you know that?
Yeah, because I'm psychic. Because anyway, no, but this is what I'll say to somebody. If you want to ask your doctor, then what you say is, hey, doctor, with this XYZ issue I have, can you explain to me how redox cellular signaling plays a part in this? And then you wait for their answer.
Yeah.
What did you say?
Somebody, I've got XYZ, I've got to check with my doctor. Fine. Take this to your doctor and ask them how redox cellular signaling plays a part in this issue. And then sit and wait for the answer, because most of the time they will be dumbfounded. Now, the good news is, if you ask somebody that's in medical school right now and you say, tell me about redox cellular signaling, they'll go, oh yeah, we're learning all about it. We talk about it a lot. It's in our textbooks. But there again, it takes time. This has been around on the market for 15 years, and they're just now teaching about it in medical schools. But if your doctor graduated from medical school, in the last 20, 30 years, they don't know anything about it. So,
yeah. Thank you, Kathy.
Mm-hmm.
Marty, but you guys are all medical. I'm not. Can I share this with people? I mean, I don't have your expertise. When you guys speak, they all listen. What do you tell me to say to people, Marty?
They don't listen to us either. Well, Dr. Mark already did it. He held up his phone.
I know.
Yeah.
I love that.
You don't have to be an expert. Anybody in the world who figures this out will want to share it with friends and neighbors. It just comes naturally. How could you watch somebody suffer and not tell them, hey, there might be another path you want to learn about? All right, I can't fix my phone any more than Mark can. I don't understand it any better than Mark does, but I can use it every day. Don't worry about understanding it. Don't worry about it. I didn't understand it when I called my brother, and he had a benefit. You don't need to be an expert to talk to somebody and say, I found something very important. Would you be open? Would you be open to learning about it? And that's really what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
But can we talk about animals just real quickly? Because this can help your pets.
Mm-hmm.
How many fingers was that? I know, we're running out of time. If you go to Redox Matters, which is where the recordings for these calls are archived, and go into the archive, you'll find Beth Wofford and Marty Morin talking about animals on many, many of these calls. Just go pick one. But this can help your pets. And I say it helps pets more than it helps humans. Why would I say that? Because humans double think it. Humans think it and then unthink it and talk themselves out of it. Animals never do that. And actually, I think it was Betsy who put a text in the chat earlier today. There's no placebo effect in animals, folks. This is not in our heads. It's not in animals' heads. It just works.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Our 16-year-old dog, he's 100 pounds, has used it for 5 years, and it's quite amazing the improvements it's helped. And Mark is 154 in real redox results. You can find his story, password redox.
Yeah, and I will challenge all of you to go to realredoxresults.com. Lowercase redox is the password. And I double, maybe even triple dog dare you to go hear these testimonials. Dr. Ed, yours.
And by the way, my favorite Jasper cat, 5 years of age, at 2 years of age was diagnosed with viral leukemia, and they wanted to do a blood transfusion. That was not done. So at 5 years of age, currently has a sear 6 times a day, every day, without fail.
And we're not making any claim to cure that cat either.
No.
So we don't say any diseases. So if I had the push button to mute you, I would have muted you. Real quick, Judy, you've been around for a long time. Again, within a minute, please, because I want to get Dr. Ed. Did you ever think you would ever see anything like this in the medical realm? Ever? I mean, I know you've been kind of a holistic, natural, physical therapist, which seems kind of unusual. But did you ever think you would see anything ever like this?
No, no. And as a physical therapist, traditionally trained, we did everything to ourselves before we ever tried it on a patient. So, I mean, the e-stim, the ultrasound, the traction, the sweat box, everything we tried on ourselves before we tried it on any patients at all to be sure we understood how it worked and what it felt like and how we could tell them. But I never imagined. I hoped to find something that would help me so I could function because I was out of options when this came. And because it was so quick and complete, now I still have issues occasionally, but I'm living life and it's good. But I'm able to talk to my clients, and because I'm non-traditional, I use the spot that Dr. Mark uses, but I also use auriculotherapy and reflexology, which means I put it on the ears, I put it on the hands, I put it on the bottom of the feet, in the belly button to get it. And most of the time, I never get around to putting it on where they hurt because it's already stopped. My latest fun thing was on Saturday. We had a Super Saturday with Terry Latham, and I was talking to a guy from corporate. And he's standing there and he starts doing this. And I said, "Does your shoulder hurt?" And he goes, "Yeah, I heard it working out." And I said, "Well, I got this stuff." And we both had a giggle. And I said, "No, seriously. Now, the man is so buff that there's not enough room for you to do this in his clothes." And he said, "Well, I said, we're not going to strip you here in this room full of people." I said, "Stick out your finger. Now put the gold on, because I carry it in my purse all the time. I have gel and both gels in my purse all the time." And so I had him put it on the back of his neck and down to C7, or the big bump on the back of your neck. And then I reached over and put it on both ears. And I waited for a minute, and I was going to have him take his shoes off. And he goes, "It's almost gone." And I said, that's the power of Redox. And he was just like, "Give me some more."
Yeah. And that was somebody new, by the way, within corporate, Franco Silva.
He's been around a few months, and
he loves us sharing the little things like that. If you don't mind, Dr. Ed, wrapping this up, with your background again in medicine, how big of a deal is this?
It's being that it changed my life, really. It is the greatest breakthrough in our lifetime in terms of health science. And an intelligent designer, our good Lord, created a human body that is so perfect in its sense. And it's created a system, and this system is have different organs: the brain, the heart, the muscles, and this organs has different tissues, and this tissues has different cells, from 75 to 100 trillions of cells, and all of these cells are pretty highly intelligent. It is made by an intelligent designer, and unfortunately, this intelligent cells can be backed down with a lot of stresses that we introduce into ourselves. Stresses really like physical stress, psychological stress, but the most common ones are the environmental, nutritional stresses, and also genetic stresses. And the most really harmful ones are the pathogenic stresses like virus and bacteria that comes into our body. And this communications of this trillions of cells now is being distorted. The inner doctor that is within us because of this intelligent cells is distorted, and it could no longer detect, it could no longer repair, it could no longer replenish new cells. This establishment of communication between this 100 trillions of cells should be placed back. In that way, it can function the way it should function. The way it should function, the biofeedback mechanisms of all the systems is going to be intact. Nothing of overdosing, nothing of inhibiting or enhancing the receptors. but it's just moving back the way the good Lord has created all these cells. It's an amazing thing that my own specialty cannot even help me. That to the point that this is from that point in 2016 until now, it's still making positive impacts into my health on a daily basis. 71 years old, I should have a cereal bowl of medications, but every year we're winning it out. We're winning it down. And then everybody must be on it. With the studies that we have, illness and diseases starts very young. When you don't feel anything, when you're still good and no symptoms at all, but the disease process is already cooking. Why? Because there are cell signaling. The signaling communications with these cells are already being stressed out. And then diseases process things. So because you don't have symptoms, you think you're healthy. No, you're not. In fact, the studies that were done in the Torrey laboratory tests that we have were done in young patients, in young individuals, in their 30s. And still, it had an impact on all the genetic pathways that were tested. So this is the time, whatever your age group with, do not wait until you become like me when I was in the desperate part of my life, physically and mentally, and thank the Lord that this came to my life. I end it that way.
Guys, this has been absolutely beautiful. I'm a simpleton. I'm an ex-financial advisor who has had 10 back surgeries. I was addicted to pain meds. My best friend shared this with me almost 11 years ago. He gave me my life back. He gave me hope, which I honestly don't know if I would be here right now with being on 500 pain pills. Thank you, doctor. He was not my doctor giving me all my meds. But we have a gift. We have to share this. We have to keep it simple. You come to these kind of meetings to listen to all these amazing medical people for validation. Get back to the one that got you on this webinar or who sent this to you, the recording of this. Don't question it. Just get on it. Don't go to Google. Google's going to tell you it's a silly pyramid scheme thing. That's ridiculous. We're a 17-year-old company in 35 countries. We've done close to $2 billion in revenue. This is real. All the science, all the testimonials, just go get on it and do it. So guys, thank you so much. Next Thursday will be Alan Noble. We will be back. Our next time that we're on the show, we're going to have Debbie Wetzler will be with us sharing how this has changed her financial life as well. So with that, guys, this recording will be up at redoxmatters.com within a couple of hours. Again, Dr. Lee had some family issues that he had to take care of. So with that, God bless. Mark, Dr. Ed, Dr. Ray, Judy, obviously Dr. Marty Morin, who left us. Kathy just left us. So guys, thank you. Share these videos, share the information, get on the molecules, and get your life on this straight and narrow track. Thank you, guys. God bless.
Bye.
Thanks.
Good night.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.